There's news out of AstraZeneca this morning then, suggesting that BRADA, the US government, essentially is putting $1 billion into the AstraZeneca camp in terms of ramping up capacity for vaccine production, should it be successful. What is your understanding of what US funding means, though? Because in other circumstances, that has perhaps pushed the US further up the queue in terms of access to drugs. What is your understanding as chair of the House of Commons Science and Technology Committee as to what that kind of funding would mean?
Well, I don't have any visibility on that particular deal, but I do know that the UK government has been in talks with AZ, and obviously the work that's being done in Oxford is very important. There is a new manufacturing centre for vaccines being developed at pace in the UK, and there are very good working relations, I understand, between the company and the university and the government. And it's right that we should, wherever we are in the world, be getting ahead of the need to deploy those vaccines. What we mustn't have is to get a vaccine that works and that is safe, and then find we've got to wait a long time before it can be deployed at scale. So I think it's the right thing to be anticipating and putting in place that capacity now.
Are you nonetheless optimistic? We hear from now numerous companies that they're close to developing and have production capacity sorted for a vaccine that should be able to stave off a second wave of the general public, next year.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of scientists working quite rightly at pace on the development of vaccines. We don't know yet which will pass the test, get the regulatory approval. It's right that there is a lot of effort devoted to this, and it's right that in anticipation we put the manufacturing facilities there. This is a risk, and some scientists have told the committee, have warned the committee that it may not be possible, there may not be a breakthrough, but there are others who are optimistic, and I think it's right, given the scale of the importance to the world, that we do put in place facilities in advance.
Greg, do you think that the UK should ease lockdown measures as soon as June the 1st if we don't have a track and trace app that is working? Do you think the two should be explicitly linked?
Well, in coming out of the lockdown measures, obviously the lockdown that was imposed was kind of pressing the emergency stop button. It was when the virus was out of control. We didn't know whether it was going to overwhelm the healthcare system. Already we've had some easing of the measures, such as people being able to go out and take exercise whenever they want. And that reflects what is already apparent, which is that the level of infection is falling. So, and the reason I say that is that there are a number of factors that should guide the relaxation of these measures. Now, we do know, my committee has taken evidence from experts both in the UK and around the world, and we know that testing is absolutely foundational, and that being able to track and trace is very important. But it's not the only factor. In fact, the most important factor is the level and spread of infection. But it is important, and in a letter that my committee published this week to the Prime Minister, we emphasised, again, a bit like the discussion we just had about vaccines, how important it is to have the ability to operationalise this in advance of need. So it is important, but it's not the only criterion.
What do you expect in terms of the relaxing of the lockdown in the UK and how that will go forward? It seems that even if the government allows it, a lot of people in Britain, in Scotland, just don't want to go back to work right now. Well,
we don't know yet what the experience will be of that, but obviously from having a period during which the advice was very firm that you needed to stay at home unless you were in effect, an essential worker. And we've seen on our TV screens day after day, night after night, images of just how bad the experience for many people of having this virus is. It's not surprising that people would be cautious about it. And that's why I think the need to maintain the confidence of the public as we take measures to ease the lockdown, and in particular this, and obviously I chair the Science Committee of the House of Commons, the government has, rightly in my view, emphasised the importance of scientific advice coming into the lockdown, and it's very important that steps that it takes are evidenced publicly. They show what the advice is to demonstrate that the measures that are being taken to come out are safe and are judicious.